The Boys Season 4 debuted on the 13th of June this year, and ever since it's been on everyone's lips, for better or for worse. A show that once was praised by critics and adored by its audience is now getting bashed in the head by that audience, but no one can seem to escape it. So let's rewind a bit. The Boys Season 4 has been getting backlash for some very interesting things, ranging from its political stance and its overtness, to it being apparently too woke, and most recently exploring some very disturbing scenes. I mean, you have no idea the amount of rage the show has garnered. I made a video about a week and some days ago about The Boys, and it largely didn't agree with the general consensus, i.e. that it's a piece of shit. I knew that video would get comments just because of how controversial it was. I mean, I usually get about 10 comments on average on uploads, but that video has well over 30 comments. That's about 3 times as much as I usually get. And most of those comments were not happy that I didn't completely crap talk the show. Even more were not happy with the show itself. And I'm going to be honest, it was kind of amusing to me how much the show has fallen off. Only that it hasn't. You see, while everyone is all up in their feelings about the show and just wishing the writers and producers would just call it a wrap, the show in question is getting over 21% more viewership than its other seasons, and it's in the top 5 of the most watched shows right now. I mean, Amazon Studios did a poll themselves asking viewers their top watch among The Boys and 3 others for the summer. 94% chose The Boys. That is just wild. It's not supposed to make sense, but somehow this even makes more sense. The Boys has never ever shied away from its stance in politics, and it most definitely hasn't shied away from gore and violence. That's why I'm surprised when I see people online say things like the show is becoming too gory for them, or the violence is being exaggerated just for shock value. Newsflash, the show is a violent show, and very gory, and nasty, and everything in between. Right from season 1, this has to be one of the most gory shows I have ever watched. Hands down. It's right up there with Game of Thrones. I mean, within the first few scenes of the show, we see a man literally run through a woman like she was a fly, and her blood is littered all over him. Oh, and we definitely aren't forgetting the scene where the boys shoved a C4 explosive up Translucent's butt and exploded him into many tiny bits from the inside out. Should I go on? There's Homelander's many exploits, which by themselves are disturbing enough. We don't even have to add the crazy, gory things literally every other character has done. So we've established this show isn't a Disney show, by any standards. So why in the world are people saying the season is supposedly using violence for shock value, or to make fun, entertaining moments that would fit nicely into YouTube shorts and TikTok videos? Which, by the way, even if they are, they've earned it, cause they've been doing it since the first scene of the first episode. And what even makes this more grating is the fact that it's turned to like a talking point for these angry people online, and now anything that happens on screen is for shock value. Exhibit A, Episode 6, Dirty Business. And now before I get into this, I know there are going to be a lot of people in the comments that are just going to absolutely bury me for what I'm about to say, and I'm going to say it now, I don't care. You can come after me even though I'm just sharing my opinion online and I have nothing to do with the show. Have at it, knock yourself out. Now back to what we were talking about. This episode was disturbing. I'm not gonna dispute that. I'm not going to argue that with anybody. Scenes of abuse and scenes depicting abuse are disturbing. But you know what's also disturbing? Performing harmful experiments on animals, blowing people's heads to bits on screen, lasering people's heads, and without warning, squashing an animal on TV, etc. But do you know what all these things have in common? They're not real. None of it is real. They're all special effects that have been brought to life by highly trained individuals and a lot of money. And so, I hate to be the one to tell you, anything that happens is purely fiction, and thus should be regarded as such. I saw tweets from people who claimed that the episode was pointless, and they basically just over-exaggerated the occurrences in that episode, and made it seem like it's the worst thing since 50 Shades and 365 Days. And if y'all could watch 50 Shades and 365 Days that are unapologetically about abuse in varying types of ways, and you're complaining about this episode? Oh my god. Again, I'm not trying to claim these scenes with Huey weren't disturbing, they were. I also want to point out that it kinda reminded me of the scene where the Deep abused Starlight, and Eric didn't just write that scene on a whim. According to him, he has never worked so hard or stressed so much about a scene in his life. He had conversations with women, a lot of which were very painful, and he just tried his best not to make the whole thing shallow and really give it some significance. Apparently, Eric did his due diligence about writing that scene, and he wanted to make sure he got it right. He wanted to make sure the scene had an impact on the overall narrative, and it worked. It worked like a charm. Now, Eric is accused of being hypocritical for not doing his due diligence with the Huey scene as well. I mean, when he was asked about the scene, he said he and the other writers viewed it as hilarious, and while watching it, it was pretty obvious that was what they were going for. That is definitely how you or the viewer should view that scene, because any form of abuse can be traumatic and have long-lasting impact. So yeah, they messed up on that one. I agree, they messed up. However, it doesn't mean the episode is useless. There were still some pretty important and relevant things happening in that episode, and a lot of huge setups for things to come. The fact of the matter is, as much as I don't like the scenes or you don't, a lot of people still enjoyed that episode. In fact, the vast majority of people who watched it enjoyed it. Because guess what? More people are going to watch the episode after that, and there's nothing hating on the show will do about it. There's nothing I can do about it. People will watch whatever entertains them. That's the golden rule of the entertainment industry. Every other thing is an added bonus. And that's why they keep showing you guys these grotesque and disturbing things on screen. Because the numbers don't lie. It's working, and they know it. It doesn't matter what tweeters or online Reddit forums have to say. Sure, some people might be triggered by it, which is fair, I'm not trying to dispute that, but you could say that about a lot of other shows or movies out there. Like a lot. Like 95% of them. There's going to be some things that don't sit right with some people or some groups of people. And The Boys is one show that definitely does not sit right with a lot of people. Now I'm going to talk a bit about the most dreaded yet beloved word in the English dictionary. Wokeness. A lot of people online are just raving about how The Boys has turned into this woke mess. They're angry about a lot of things that are going on politically. Oh, and they're also angry that Frenchie's bi now. I've talked about this in my previous videos, so I won't talk too much about it. I cannot even begin to wrap my head around this because The Boys has been a crystal clear political satire from day one. We saw this with characters like Stan Edgar and Robert Singer and Victoria Newman and even Stormfront. They've been really bold with the medium they use to shine light on the issues that we face in modern society, from capitalism to politics to celebrity culture to even large-scale corporations. It's pretty obvious that this is a thematic strong suit of the show, and it's probably what made a lot of people fall in love with it in the first place. So forgive me if I don't understand why there will be backlash for leaning onto these themes. People are claiming that the writers are ridiculing the right wing, which first of all is ridiculous because, and I'll say it again, it's fiction, not real people. And secondly, characters like Homelander and Firecracker are over-exaggerated representations of the negatives of powerful people in our society. You could say the same about Stan Edgar and Newman and even Starlight. Starlight, which is apparently supposed to be representing the left wing, is not some paragon of hope or wisdom. She makes bad choices, she gets angry, she does dumb things. Heck, our powers don't even work well anymore. Why? Because she's not perfect, and that's what the writers are trying to prove. They're trying to tell us that powerful people that we even look up to, are flawed, and they can be shitty too. It's not their fault that the person who just happens to be wearing the American flag on his back just happens to be the main villain of the story. And if I'm being completely honest with you, the people that think this show isn't worth watching because of the politics seem to honestly believe that everyone who watches the show is American. That is presumptuous of them. A lot of this show's audience isn't even American. A significant portion, in fact. And how do I know this? Well, because of my only viral video on this channel, which got over 200,000 views. That video was about The Boys, and about 50% of the people who watched it were American. The other 50% were not. I guess you already know what I'm trying to say. At least 40% of the people who watched this show don't even care about the politics at all. So just remember that the next time you think this show's the worst thing to ever grace Hollywood. And now that I've handled that, I'm going to talk a bit to the people who have a problem with Frenchie being bi, and who think the showrunners are under pressure from the National Gay Association to have at least one gay character in their show. Or else. Oh my god, I haven't seen anything funnier all year. People, this show has hinted at Frenchie's sexuality since season 3, and to be honest, personally, I kinda got the vibe off him since season 1. Just a little bit. I still don't know why this is a problem, but okay. Moving on, some people have problems with the new characters, namely Colin, Firecracker, and Sage is okay, everyone kinda loves her. Admittedly, Colin is not the most entertaining of characters. He definitely doesn't have the most depth either. But I don't think he was really meant to have depth. I mean, he's meant to be Frenchie's love interest, and he's also meant to ignite this inner struggle within Frenchie so he can confront the demons of his past. However, him as a character, he's just shallow. I mean, he's not even entertaining. He's not witty. He's just flirty most of the time. So yeah, he's pretty forgettable. Like, if that character died right now, I wouldn't even have the slightest trickle, and that's crazy, considering how much screen time he's got. So the writers could have definitely done better with this character, but it is what it is. He isn't that important anyway. And then there's Firecracker, which, do I even have to say much? I mean, it's pretty obvious why everyone doesn't like her. She's a ripe female dog who will do anything to drag down Starlight. And by anything, I mean anything. So yeah, she's definitely not my favorite either, but that doesn't mean the show is bad just because you don't like some characters. And if I see one more person criticize Erin Moriarty, Starlight's actor, because she allegedly got her face done, I will lose it. It's none of your business, and it most definitely has nothing to do with the show. Go get a hobby. Okay, I think I've been able to anger enough people today. What do you think about The Boys Season 4? If you don't want to kill me, we can have a conversation in the comments. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe, as it would greatly help the channel. And I guess if you help me get to 1K subs, my mom will buy me a PS4. No, she won't, but subscribe anyway. Okay, now bye.